I'm Tamika D. Mallory.
And it's your boy Mysonne, the General.
We are your host of TMI.
Tamika and Mysonne's information, truth, motivation, and inspiration.
New name, new energy, but
same old us.
What's going on, my son Lennon?
Long weekend, but I'm here.
Long week.
Well, the weekend seemed like it was the whole week, actually.
It's been a lot going on, but at least spring is trying to fight. It's
fighting.
It's
we got a little 80-degree day.
I needed
that thing.
I didn't get to go outside that day until the sun came down.
Nah.
Well, because I was dealing with Target all day.
Yeah.
All day long. So I never got a chance to get up from my computer the whole entire day on the 80-degree day. I went out she's Candace, but Miss Diddy forever for us. We went out to eat at like 8. That's what time I got outside.
It was really beautiful. I shopped.
It was nice at nighttime
because I went like Easter shopping for the kids and brought them some clothes and stuff.
Resurrection
Sunday.
That's
because people. So listen, I'm not really for the holidays and all that. I try to stay away from holidays, but there's a certain feeling during certain days. Whether we call them holidays or whatever.
You get the Easter outfit.
Yeah, but you got to get you an Easter outfit. Like, if you're from the hood, you know that Easter outfit is paramount. You got to get you a good Easter outfit, and you got to go outside. You got to, you got to
go somewhere.
You got to, because I swear to God, I remember, like, my mother, we didn't have much, but she knew that we had to have an Easter outfit.
No, I'm telling you. That was my mother used to give me.
Thing.
She used to give me $100, and now I lived in Manhattanville in Harlem, so she gave me $100. My homegirl who lived in 3333, which was right behind Manhattanville, you see it, you see the area. Anybody who lived in these places know exactly what I'm talking about. And she and I used to meet on the corner. We had our $100 in our pockets, and we had to go to 125th Street and go up and down until we found a pair of sneakers, which was usually a new pair of 5411s. And then you had $40 and some change to get you a pair of jeans, a little shirt or something. But you was getting you an Easter outfit.
Got to get you an Easter outfit. So
you had to sit in the hair salon all damn day.
Yeah, we ain't know.
It was Friday night. Listen, to get the doobie. Friday night when my mother got off work, because now my dad paid the bills, right? And I don't know what him and my mama business was, but I do know that he paid the bills, and my mother's paycheck was used for hair bows and going there, out and get your little stuff and your things, stuff that he don't be knowing about, don't need to know about, and he ain't involved with. So Friday night, she get her check. She would have me meet her at the hair salon to get my doobie. It was down on 125th Street, too. A guy named Roy used to hook me up. Roy was a crackhead also. So Roy used to...
Yo, man, the crackhead's been multi-purpose for years.
He used to do good hair, but he would disappear.
Yes, they did mechanics. They was... a crackhead... that's what I'm trying to tell you. Crack fucked us up because those people were so skilled.
For real.
And you would just see them in this crackish mode, but they were so skilled, and it was beyond skilled.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You know what? And let me correct myself. I shouldn't call him a crackhead.
He was a
addicted.
Drug addict.
He was addicted.
They call him crackhead.
But at the time, it was a crackhead because he would beat it. He was good, and then all of a sudden, everybody be going, "Where is Roy?" But he knew Easter though.
He was sure you're right because he need to get that money. That's his money that's how he's gonna do what he needs to do. He was
working for Easter, bruh. He did what he had to do. So anyway, we go get our outfit, and then on Sunday you got to go wherever, somewhere.
That's usually what we did. We did the movies, or we just would be in Harlem, just roaming around. But you had to go get you an outfit. So
right. But my parents never let us think Easter was an Easter.
Yeah,
they'd be like, "This is just a day for us to do something and some little eggs
that's what
with
we
some
do.
stuff
you know
in it."
That's what we did.
So yeah, that's what
when I shopped and it was hot in all the stores, and then went to a baby shower, enjoyed that.
Yeah,
and the kids enjoy. Kids like baby showers. And then I was exhausted. And then the next day, we went to some dope game room, and the kids enjoyed themselves with that. And then we had hibachi, and I was exhausted again.
The same
old.
I hosted. My granddaughter was in town. We went to church. with her cousin, and they're both 2 and 3 years old. So I was saying that I spent a lot of time dealing with Target all week. A lot of people saw that last week. Things it just was like all of a sudden all this stuff got in the media because it was announced that Reverend Sharpton was having a meeting with the Target executives. Now, and there were people who were upset because they were like, well, where's Jamal Bryant? And, and then people were tagging saying, where's Tamika Mallory? And of course, Nina Turner, who leads We Are Somebody and Until Freedom was a part of it. Then you have folks saying, where are the people from Minneapolis? So people were pissed off because they like, we ain't heard Reverend Sharpton involved in this Target situation. So like, how did he all of a sudden get centered and why is he the one having the meeting? And so, that turned into a whole thing. And I think a part of it is that social media and the internet does not always give us an opportunity to fully discuss everything so people will be able to get a clear picture of what's going on. Okay. Just for quick points of reference. Number one, I worked for Reverend Sharpton for a very, very long time. 14 years I did within NAN, and it was even before that, but 14 years I was on the payroll. And I can tell you that the issues around diversity, equity, inclusion, holding corporations accountable, all of that, he has been doing for a long, long time. And there's a history of it that comes from Operation Breadbaskets, which is Reverend Jackson. Remember, I've given this history before for people who don't know that one of the reasons why we understand the attacks on DEI is because we know they know the people who want to roll back DEI understand there is a history of how diversity, equity, and inclusion became a thing, that you hold that with the fact that, of course, other groups have benefited from it and it's been infiltrated by other people. We get all of that. We're not saying that diversity, equity, and inclusion as it stands is perfect or that it is, that it is great. Put it that way. We're not saying that. We're saying we know it's not. We know it's still inequitable.
That's right.
Nonetheless, we understand that the reason why it's being attacked is because Black people are under attack and women are under attack. And so that's that, putting that in perspective. So Reverend Sharpton has been doing this work around diversity, equity, and inclusion and holding corporations accountable for a long time. Many, many, many years. More than 30 years, he's been engaged in that area and has a great level of expertise in terms of how to get corporations to have to deal with Black folks and our issues and demands. And so it is not unusual for a corporation to call him and want to meet with him. So he got the call. And he called Reverend Jamal Bryant, and asked him, hey, Target wants to meet. Now, another thing, for the last, I think, 60-something weeks, there has been, National Action Network has been protesting outside of the office of, I forget his first name, but I know his last name is Ackman. And this guy is the one who pretty much started the fight against the Fearless Fund, which is where this DEI thing sort of first started to come. It came from that because the women from the Fearless Fund are funding Black women-owned businesses. And this guy, Ackman, started a campaign and actually sued them to say it was unconstitutional and, and all of that. And so Sharpton has been in the space of this whole diversity, equity, and inclusion piece since the beginning. So there was a process, but the details of it was to be discussed as Jamal did at church on Sunday, and then there's a town hall meeting on Tuesday. But again, social media, things move at the speed of lightning. So once it's out there that there's a meeting, people's opinion and feeling and this and that, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have, there should be accountability across the board because all of us are out here managing something that other people, 200,000 people have signed up for, but there are people who never signed the petition at all. That's who are boycotting Target, and people want to know, what are y'all meeting about and what's happening and who's doing what? And they have the right to know those things.
The headlines did get out there, and I think that's precisely my point. as seasoned leaders, we have to understand that people are going to sensationalize headlines. So if we understand that, then we have to be intentional about what gets out there and how we organize things. So that this is what my main point was, that people have to be very aware, intentional, and strategic, especially when we're this season as leaders.
All these people who are a part of this effort, that we understand our power is working because Target is even calling people for meetings. And another thing, that's Reverend Sharpton is not the only person that Target met with in the civil rights community. They've been meeting with different groups, right? And it just so happened that we know about the meeting with Reverend Sharpton, but there are other people who had meetings that we don't know anything about, haven't heard from them on what went on or what took place. But one thing I can say is that nobody agreed to end the boycott or to stop it. People have just been listening and allowing Target to explain to them where they stand, and also doubling down on the idea that we don't agree with the decision you all made on January 24th or 25th to say that you're rolling back DEI, because guess what? Costco's didn't roll theirs back. Delta didn't roll theirs back. So what is different between you, Target, and these other companies who have stood 10 toes down and chose not to cower to Donald Trump and align themselves with bigotry? And Nina Turner we now have met with Target. We've met with an executive from Target, Nina Turner, myself, and Jamal Bryant, where we talked to them about the demands again, reiterated the demands, and have asked them to get back to us with specific details on the demands, not to just repackage the numbers of what they've done in the past, to tell us about their new ways of going about dealing with these issues. We don't want to be your nighttime lover. We want to be in broad daylight. What exactly are you intending to do, and why would you make a statement that you need to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion instead of enhancing it? That's what we believe they should have came out and said. To be honest, we need to do more diversity and equity and inclusion. We need to make sure that Black folks get even more a share of what we as consumers are putting into Target. That's actually what they should have come out with. And instead, they went in the opposite direction, which is to align themselves with Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and in our opinion, as Nina Turner has said, to align themselves with bigotry. And that's not okay. So with all of that, the boycott continues. There's work that's happening behind the scenes. We will not sell our communities out. We will make sure that when we come back to report on something, we're reporting on tangibles, real tangible results, and that takes time. Let's not forget that the Montgomery bus boycott lasted for 381 days. And so we are not even at 6 months of this yet. We're going to have some discipline. My thought of the day for today is everything that comes out on social media, we can't allow ourselves to just go run with it because of either our feelings about people. We've got to ask for more information, because over these next 4 years, there is going to be a lot of stuff that's thrown at us to get us to everybody starts fighting and arguing and everybody gets divided and all of that. We're not trying to be divided. We need to course correct some things sometimes. We got to have conversations, but we are not going to allow these folks to divide us, because the enemy is not us. It's not organizers. It's not the people online. The enemy are the people who are attempting to suppress and oppress our communities. And we cannot allow social media to, or things that hit the news or social media, to throw us off our game. We got to be targeted. We've got to, no pun intended, or pun intended. We've got to be focused. Yep. We've got to be focused. And our focus at this point is that we are making sure that corporations understand there's $1.8 trillion that we spend. And if you want to align yourself with Trump, there's a lot of us who don't like Trump. So if you with him, you not with us. And that's it.
That's pretty much, I don't know what else I can say after that. You pretty much broke it down. We just have to be aware about the information. Like you said, Denzel said, if you watch the news, then you're misinformed. And if you don't, then you're uninformed. So you have to be very careful about how you get your information. You got to make sure that you're listening to credible sources. You got to do 3 or 4 different checks. You can't just Google one page and you just see some random thing pop up. Like, you got to be intentional. You got to really want this information. You got to look, and you got to also use common sense, because a lot of people don't even use common sense. They just hear something and say, look, such and such jumped off the roof and he landed on both foot and now he's Superman. He started flying around. Look, it's on the internet. I seen it. And I'll be like, bro, does that even fit what you know as humanly possible? Like, they don't even think about that no more. You know, so I think we have to be intentional, and we have to make sure that we follow people who have levels of integrity, right? That you actually can trust, not just somebody that just showed up on the internet one day and they started creating these conspiracy theories that go along with, you know, these crazy things that you have in your head, and you like, listen. No, make sure that there's a basis for what somebody says. Make sure that it goes along with common sense. Make sure that these people are trusted, that when you look up the information they say, they're other people that you trust that are, you know, parroting that information or sharing that same information. Don't just take information and just run with it and then come and spread it, because a lie travels 10 times before the truth puts his socks on.
So for today's TMI, you know, it just be too much sometimes for me. But I really want to ask people out in the universe to listen to this story and decide who they think is doing too much in this situation. So a few days ago, it was announced that Fani Willis, the prosecutor in Georgia, in DeKalb County, is trying to put Young Thug back in prison, which we know that a part of his sentence was if you violate the terms of your probation. It's not parole. No, it's probation. The terms of your probation, that you can be committed for a backlog of 20 years. He can be committed for a backlog of 20 years. So he would have to serve out 20 years if he does any of the things that's in the stipulations. So she wants to have him sent back to prison. And as soon as I saw it, I'm not going to lie, I was one of those people that was like, oh, come on. Like, what did he do? Go to Metro Atlanta and ride on the side of the street where you ain't supposed to be on that corner? Like, come on. Like, I didn't even hear the story. Just the headline made me automatically be like, come on, Fanny, let's not do this, right? Mm-hmm. So then I said, I have to listen to the story. So I listened to it. So they say that...
Allegedly.
They say that a blogger tweeted a witness home address and the person's face.
I haven't seen this, so I'm going to say allegedly because neither one of us has seen it.
I'm not saying who the blogger is.
No, but I'm just saying because unless this is what I want us to be clear about, that because I don't want people to sue us and say we said something that didn't actually happen. So I'm saying this allegedly happened because we did not see it, and this is what the news is reporting.
Okay, right. That's what they say. They say that a blogger tweeted a witness's name and address, right? That's what they say. This is the whole...
And the face of the person.
And the face of the person. And it had been the judge's ruling that this witness was not to be exposed. Mm-hmm. Anything about it. And they tweeted, allegedly, they tweeted this person's home address and image and said, so-and-so does not want to be named or does not want the court, the people outside of the court to know who they are. So this is the person. Now, this is what I will say allegedly too, although the interview or this whole story, they giving you a chronicle of what took place that got them back in court, right? But allegedly, Young Thug retweeted this post on social media. And now Fani Willis wants him to go to prison. So there are some people that's like, all right, he tweeted something. I still don't think he needs to do 20 years in prison for that. Fani Willis just wants to send this black man to prison so bad. She's got I was going to say hard on, but that's probably inappropriate. She's what's the word?
Obsessed.
Obsessed, thank you, with him. And there's no reason for him to go back to prison for this. And in fact, which is where, like you said, allegedly comes from, the newscaster, the reporter is saying that when speaking with Young Thug's attorney, the attorney says it's never okay to tamper with witnesses, because then they say that they never say it was the same blog, and they also don't say that Young Thug retweeted this, but that the next thing was a post was out there that called for the murder of Fannie Willis, right? And so, but they never said that Young Thug posted that or retweeted it or that it came from the same place. But they just put that in the universe. And so the lawyer responds to it and says, it's also not okay to threaten law enforcement. But then he goes on to say that Young Thug did not do anything wrong, and therefore Fannie Willis presenting this type of motion to have him sent back to jail is like not okay, it's stupid, it's wrong, or whatever. That's not his words. I'm just saying what he's saying is wrong, that he shouldn't do it. So now, if it is true, right? And so again, there are people who don't feel like he should have to go back to jail for that. If it is true that a blogger posted this thing, this person, this witness's face, name, address, and if it is true that Young Thug retweeted it, I think that's stupid. That's just me. But there might be some other people that say, I just think it's stupid. First of all, we know all the legal implications and what if something happens to this person, how do you're now a part of it. But also, you gotta stay out of trouble. You gotta stay away from people, places, and spaces that could potentially put you back in some mess or in a situation. And I just feel like even when he first came out on the social media, talking the stuff and doing the thing, because you home, right? And we know that the come home aspect of anybody who's been locked down and people are advocating for you, or just even if you did something wrong, I'm saying in general, when you come home, as most people, but I know in the Black community, that's a time for a celebration of the person to return. Yeah. And so now social media is a part of it, because I remember when people used to come home before, it was a chicken dinner at the house, right? Now it's social media, you doing whatever. And I remember watching that part, the live or whatever he was doing, and saying to myself, Lord have mercy, get the cell phone, take the cell phone, because you don't need to be on the social media. Now, this person tweets something and allegedly, and you believe that they're supporting you or whatever it is, you have to put this, anybody that knows Young Thug in the world, I really was rooting for the brother. I really was. Because after a while, the case was like, all right, either y'all have it, the evidence, or you don't. But this 2 years, however long it is, trial going on and on and on and on, and then finding out this and that and all this stuff, it's like, come on, you blew it. You blew your shot to make this clean. It was a circus. It was a circus. So I'm just saying, I don't know what he may or may not have done, because we never really got to learn the truth, in my opinion, right? Or maybe we did, I don't know. But we didn't really get clear, this happened, this happened, this happened. So at some point, I became one of those people to say, if the brother did do the things that they accused him of, then I really know that he's going to have to pay for that somehow, right? Like, but y'all ain't proved that. But y'all did not do a good job of proving it. And it's time to let that man go home. That's how I felt. Anybody who don't like that, that's on you. But that's how I felt. But now I just want to say, as a person who did believe that after a while, the trial was not going in the right direction, I just want the brother to put down the cell phone.
Yeah, I think we just have to be honest, and as men, we got to hold ourselves accountable. We got to have strong support systems around us. We got to have people to say, yo, stop doing dumb shit. And I'm not saying he did it because it's allegedly, and somebody could have, you're a famous person. You're a famous person. People get, hacked all the time. So that's a possibility. But I'm having a conversation man to man. If you did do this, allegedly, then you got to check yourself, because your freedom, you you seemed as if your freedom was paramount to you.
Very important.
You know, so, and if it's paramount to you, then we can't make decisions that's going to jeopardize it, especially stupid decisions, like from your page. So I'm not saying you did. I don't know. I'm just saying if you are, sometimes you have to suspend your first judgment. You might have a lot of animosity. You might feel a way against the system. I get it. You know, it's a lot of times we hold in. You sat for years and you felt like a system had targeted you and they did you wrong. But God gave you opportunity to come back to society. God gave you opportunity to be free and to make different choices, to make different decisions. And you said that. You said that you learned from them, and thank you for playing fair. And you said they played fair with you. So you have to make decisions that make sure that the choice they made is justified as a man. And if you didn't do it, then
let's
God
talk.
willing,
Then let us know so
then
we
get
can
it out.
fight. Because we will say, nah,
then
y'all
get it
not
out.
gonna
If
put
somebody
this on
hacked
this
them,
man.
then then that's the reality situation. But if you are, I just want you just to make better decisions, brother, because we're rooting for you. You know, we're fans of the music. We're fans of just a young black man being able to get a second. Because a lot of us, there's a lot of people that's in jail that haven't done anything, that have never come home. And you're one of the opportunities that people get to see where there is a silver lining at the end of the road, where you can actually go through a justice system and somebody can give you an opportunity. They can see, the worth, and they can see that you are rehabilitated and have an opportunity. So don't fuck it up. Because if you fuck this up, allegedly, if you fuck this up, then you're going to fuck it up for 1,000 other young black men just like yourself. So that's all I have to say about that.
Well, there's that. So I guess the question is, do you think Fannie Willis is doing too much, or all these people on social media?
I mean, that's y'all to answer that. I don't know what it is, so
I didn't see it. I didn't see the tweet. I should go look.
Yeah.
To see.
But that's what they're allegedly saying is happening. But y'all give us y'all feedback and let us know what you think. If you've seen the tweet and and you just give us the feedback. So
that now for our guest, we've only had maybe 2 white folk on this show after this is the 5th season.
Oh yeah, we had
Jason Flom, who is a big supporter and advocate for our brother Justice for Pierre Russian, who was serving time for a crime that he did not commit. And Jason is one of his biggest advocates. And so there's that. And that was one white man. I actually can't think of another, but I always leave room by saying 2. So maybe there was one more. There was an Asian man.
Yeah.
Right? That was the husband.
The couple,
the couple. But that's it. I don't know if any other white folks have been on our show. Just to make sure that, we never say we never did, we never saw, we never went, unless you really know you never went. Because if you might have went and you say you didn't, people going to find out, because that's just the world that we live in. But this might be the 3rd white person that's been on our show. But this brother, he is definitely invited to the cookout. So let's get to the guests.
Let's get to it. So today we have a friend to the room who has been a friend of mine, but he probably doesn't know it. Just watching his commentary, he's a friend of my head. Just watching his commentary, watching his unabridged truth, watch him face to face, just dismantle, system. He's been dismantling the system of white supremacy by himself for a long time now, and it's an amazement. The other day I was watching this video where a lady was talking about DEI and this and that, and he walked up and just grabbed the microphone and just left her speechless and just walked off. And it was so beautiful to me, and he does this all the time. But today we have Russell Ellis, a.k.a. Jolly Good Ginger today. Okay. He is a social activist from Western North Carolina, foothills of Appalachia. He was raised racist and bigoted and began deconstructing his own racism as a teenager after establishing a relationship with his mom. He joined the Army at 18. He spent 13 years in human intelligence, Iraq and Afghanistan veteran. He now denounces the U.S. occupation of those countries. First started getting real active in activism in 2013. He has social media started in 2020. He has over 6 million followers across all these platforms, and he is the guy. The guy. How you doing today, man?
I'm feeling like I'm not worthy of that introduction, if we're being honest. I really appreciate the kind words. And vice versa, I've been watching, you and Tamika and your activism across the years, and you inspire me. You inspire countless other people. And so hearing you say these kind words about me, truly it's humbling, to be honest with you.
It's the work that you're doing, brother. A lot of people, they say, I'm against injustice and I don't like that, and they quietly whisper, but the way that you face it, the way that you dismantle it, your videos they are eloquent, they are precise, they're educated, and they're done with thought. And you can't really dispute, when you get facts, I don't care how you feelings, it's facts over feelings, and you always come with facts, and that's what I really appreciate about you.
Absolutely.
No, I appreciate that. And to be honest with you, social media was an accident. So now watching how much of an influence social media has on the social conversation, it's fascinating because I joined social media in 2020 literally by accident. And it's not something I ever thought about. But now when you think about this social conversation, you think about social media. So I'm blessed to have a platform to be able to do it.
Absolutely. So have we ever met Jolly, who is AKA Russell Ellis? We have.
Yes.
In Louisville?
We met on a few separate occasions, but see, I knew who you were, you didn't know who I was, and that's fair. But I'm good friends with Bianca. You and I have mutual friend.
My sister, yeah.
Yes, I love Bianca. Her birthday just passed. Happy birthday, Bianca. And on several different occasions. The first time I think we met was the 10th anniversary down in Miami, Trayvon Martin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's great. I mean, and I share my son's sentiment about you being my friend in my head. So, whenever I see you on social media, and, I obviously support you, but I also share your videos in private on my page. I make sure to lift your name as being a person who can be trusted, who has an authentic voice, and of course, a very courageous spirit, which is something that we need now more than ever. And so I also respect you greatly, and I'm actually happy to have you on the show because you're a celebrity. You popping out here, so we got the celebs on today.
Yeah, you out here interviewing the congressman and everything. I'm like, this man, he moving.
Yes, right.
He outside with it.
That's right. But as my son has said, you are truly confronting white folks, which is something that we think is a specific job. I think that in this movement, we get a lot of people who want to join the march and they want to be a part of what we're doing as Black folks and brown folks. They want to run to our issues and say, we're here to support. I feel you. I see the harm. I see the wrong. And then they go back to their racist family members and friends. And a lot of times they either say nothing or they certainly are not as assertive as they are when they're in spaces with us, right? And so I always redirect, especially white women, back to their mama, back to their daddy, back to their cousins, their friends, and to go do some personal and internal work on themselves. And you have done that work, and you also confront people who look like you. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what that is for you, because I know that, I'm sure you're comfortable in it now, but I don't know if you always have been.
So I love the question, and I love the way you phrased it, because this is a question I've been asked a lot, especially, since being on social media. To be honest, when I initially started confronting white people, it was out of anger and frustration. So I grew up in white supremacy. Let's just call it what it is. I grew up in the mountains of North Carolina, foothills of Appalachia. And where I was raised, racism was so casual, it was culture, right? I didn't even know it was racism. I didn't know that not everybody said the N-word. I thought the N-word was just part of a daily vocabulary. Because of where I grew up, that's how everyone acted. And it was a foregone conclusion of how things work. So when I figured it out, there's a long story about how that all came to be, but when I figured out, oh shit, I'm a white supremacist, and I started figuring out there's this whole other world out there that I didn't really know about. I want to be very clear when I say this, I was not saying it or bringing it to the forefront like it was like I was trying to save the world. It was like this moment of epiphany, this aha moment. But I was saying it to the people I knew, which was the white folks to my left and right. And I would say to them, hey, man, this ain't right, or this and this. And I would reveal the things I've learned. And they would then deny it to my face. Oh, no, we're not that way. Oh, we don't say that. We don't. And I'm like, the fuck you mean we don't say that? Yes, we do. I've been here the whole fucking time, and we've been doing that shit. Like, I felt like I was being gaslit by my own fucking people. And I'm like, I remember I was like 14, 15 years old around that time. And I was riding down the road with my dad's second wife. You'll never hear me say stepmom. My dad's second wife. We're riding down the road, and she dropped the N-word out there, which was pretty normal. And I don't know why. I was just fucking fed up. I said, hey, you know what? Don't say that in front of me no more. And she was like, say what? She didn't know what the fuck she said. She said, say what? I said the N-word. Don't say it no more. She started laughing. She said, you don't like it, you get out of my car. I said, pull over. So she did. She pulled over. I got the fuck out the car and I walked my ass the rest of the way home, about 2 miles. Which, of course, back in the 90s wasn't that big to walk home a couple, 3 miles. But I decided I'm putting my foot down. Like, I don't know why. I don't know what, you're going through puberty, you're going through this shit. But I was like, fuck it. I understand it. I'm going to put my foot down. And then it wasn't even a week later, I did the same thing to my dad. We're in my house, and my dad said, he dropped the N-word. And I said, hey, man, don't say it in front of me no more. Say whatever you want. And he got mad. Down south where I grew up, you don't tell another man how to live in his own house. It's kind of like a rule. And that's what he told me. He said, boy, you don't tell me how to act in my own house. I said, well, I'm telling you, I don't want to hear that shit. And between me and you, he beat the shit out of me. He did. I was about 15. He was about 36. So he's a grown-ass man. But he beat the shit out of me. And he told me if I don't want to hear it, I can leave. So I did. I actually left my house for a little bit there. But that's what got me started calling out white people, to be honest with you. I think the message gets lost on social media where people think I'm trying to speak for the black community. The black community does not need me to speak for them. No one has asked me to speak over for or at another community, so I don't do that. What got me started speaking so harshly to the white community was when I figured out that white supremacy was a real deal, and I started speaking out loud the things that I figured out, and then my community treating me like I'm just making this shit up, like they wasn't just saying it last week, had me so fucking fired up. That's what got me started.
But okay, so what was the thing that clicked in you that said, yo, this shit is just wrong? Like when you started, because you said you were practicing, like you were born in racism. It was regularly thing that you did, but what was it? Was there a moment? Was there just a culmination of things that made you start deconstructing within yourself before you even started to confront them?
So I have a unique situation. My mom and dad divorced when I was 3. Now, I'm going to be abundantly clear. When I was born, my mom was 16, my dad was 21. It was the 80s, but I don't think we can go ahead and excuse that, but that was the situation. And when I was 3, my mom was 19, my dad was 24, but my dad was very openly a white supremacist. My mom can tell you stories about my dad and his cousin pulling up to the store after dark in our little town where we grew up and seeing 2 white ladies with 2 black guys in the car. And my dad and his cousin got pissed off and told my mom, I wasn't born yet, but my mom and her friend, you're going to go beat those white girls' ass because they shouldn't have those, in this town. And that's how my dad was. So obviously my mom was that way because she was raised by it. But my mom, being so fucking young, started realizing herself, this shit ain't right. And she ended up separating from my dad, and she ended up dating a black man. Her second husband was a black man. well, shit, like this is like my Watergate scandal where the fuck I'm from. And so my dad's older than my mom, has a career. My mom's really young, doesn't have a career. He's got money, she don't. And so it goes to court. And my dad got custody of me, which in the 80s is unheard of. The mother gets custody, but my mom's with a black man. That's the deciding factor. Ain't no judge in North Carolina going to give this white kid to this white woman dating a black man. So my dad got custody of me. And my dad told me every bad thing about my mom you can think of under the sun. And I believed it. I'm a kid. I'm impressionable. Obviously, who isn't? And he had me convinced that interracial marriage was against the Bible. He could show me the book and verse where the Bible says that's a no-go. So I believe it. You're literally in violation of the laws of God by being married to this man. When I was 10 years old, my mom took the whole thing to court and she got visitation rights of me. I still remember when it happened. It was a very big moment in my life. I was terrified. The only thing I ever knew about this woman was bad things. And now she's got visitation rights on me. And I'll make this long story short. The very first time she picked me up for visitation, it was my goal in my mind, and I told my dad this, that after this visitation, she'll never want to see me again. I wanted her to hate me so she'll never come back. And I was incredibly hateful to her. I told her that her marriage was a sin against God. I told her children were N-words, and I said the word. And she told me, a 10-year-old shouldn't talk like this. And I said, you shouldn't be a sinner, you evil bee. That's how I talked to her. And it was a very painful 2 hours, 3 hours that she had me, whatever the visitation was. And she had visitations every other Saturday. So she dropped me off at my dad's house. I told my dad, I said, she'll never come get me again, because I told her exactly what I feel about her dad. And 2 Saturdays went by, and it was time for her to come get me again. And I was confident she won't be back. I'll be damned if she ain't pull up in the driveway. And then that particular Saturday, she took me to her house to meet my siblings, who were all younger than me, but also, yeah, right. And it was my first time ever in my entire life being in a black neighborhood. I knew everything there was to know about black neighborhood. All criminals, it's all violence, it's all drugs. You don't want to go there. It's the bad part of town. That's what I knew. We pulled in this neighborhood. Kids was playing. Pulled my mom's house. It's normal. It's a normal ass neighborhood like I was used to seeing. And then my siblings came out and they were so happy to see me, which could not compute in my head. How the fuck are you happy to see me? I was so angry at the world, but they wasn't. And they were all younger than me. And I could not bring it in my heart to be mean to them like I wanted to be. Even as a 10-year-old, I had the wherewithal to say, it ain't their fault. And they played and talked to me, and I kind of didn't really engage. Then every other Saturday, I'm back. I love basketball. I grew up playing basketball. I love basketball. I'm a tall kid. And so my brother, the next visit, you want to go play basketball? Hell yeah, I want to play basketball. I'm down in the neighborhood playing basketball with the neighbors. And nothing's like what I was told it was like, you understand? Nothing was what my dad, so I had reached this moment. My dad had told me A, but my eyes are witnessing B. But what the fuck conclusion do I come to? And it was at that age, the early age of 10 years old, I started confronting the realities of what I was told versus the realities of what I was seeing. And it took me a few years. I had nobody to talk to. I'm not close enough to my mom to talk to her. I can't talk to my dad. I'll be he'll throw me out the house. So by the time I was at 13, 14, I had really put some shit together. And my son, you asked me, what was that moment? I'm going to be honest with you. There was this one watershed moment. I had begun reading books in the library because nobody would check me in the library at school. And I had begun watching VHS tapes. You can rent VHS tapes in the library where I went to school in. And you could watch these old talk shows. And I watched a talk show where Malcolm X was giving an interview. And the guy who was doing the interviews on TV said, hey, what's your last name? It's not X. We know it's not X. What's your last name? And Malcolm X told him, I don't know my last name. You robbed me of my last name. You took my last name. You assigned your last name to me. It's not my last name. And in my white life, I had never heard something like that.
Jesus,
in my
Charlie,
life, I
Jesus.
didn't have somebody like that. And where I grew up, your family names fucking everything. You uphold your family name. That's a fundamental value. Uphold your family name. It make each generation better than the next. You're told this shit from the time you're fucking knee high to a grasshopper. And it occurred to me in that moment that taking the last name or taking the family name of enslaved peoples was very on purpose by my people, because my people are taught that your family name is your identity. So it was intentional to rob them of their identity. And it was at that moment where I had everything that I had been learning and thinking in my head built up, and it burst. I said, that's fucking wrong. You don't take people's fucking family name from them. You don't fucking rob them of their identity. My fucking people should be fucking held responsible. And I just had this watershed moment, and that's really where the fire lit underneath me.
Wow.
This is so much that I'm just like, do I lay down? Do we get the collection plate? Like, what do we do? But you know what? That's what we wanted to have you on today to talk about. And of course, we'll get to the danger of the moment. But I think that, and my son always says that there's a backstory to our like human lives. We're not just an Instagram profile. We're not just, a quick sound bite. We actually have human experiences, and not enough people know who we are, where we come from. And that's why there's so much, which is my next question to you, but that's why there's so many misconceptions about the why. Why do you do this work? Why? Oh, you just want to make money, or you just want to, and people need to know that, no, actually I got here by fire. What happened to me, it hurt a little bit, for my entry into this work. And so that's what I wanted to talk to you about. But I want to get to misinformation, because it sounds like it really is kind of like a beautiful song being put together here, because you were given misinformation, and for a while, thank God you learned otherwise young. But there's some people, which are some of these folks that I see you talking to in these videos while you're out confronting people, their information is a narrative full of misinformation. So you caught it early, but imagine when you are a 35, 45, 55-year-old big dummy, because then you just, all you know is whatever Fox News is telling you. So do you feel like, yes, there's racism and all that, but you think misinformation is also a part of why so many white people, even the ones who are like good white people, are like, I don't know what you mean. Like, I thought they were only deporting criminals. Like, what do you think about the misinformation piece?
Misinformation is a staple of white America. Mm. Misinformation, that's why nuance is the ship of freedom. You know what I'm saying? Like, the ability to discuss nuance is how all of this falls apart. And so this whole two-dimensional world is what they want with. I digress. Misinformation is exactly what white America thrives on. I did a TED Talk a few years back, and I kind of just said it in the TED Talk. I didn't expound upon it, but I don't think people really understood how deeply I meant it. I talked about how Donald Trump did not usher in white supremacy in America. White supremacy ushered in Donald Trump. And it's important for people to understand a few things. Literally every single talking point of the Make America Great Again movement is a recycled talking point. I've heard it when I was 10 years old. I've heard it all. There's nothing you can say. The difference between a bigot and a parrot is one of them has no original thought and just repeats everything they hear around them because they don't have a brain, and the other one's a fucking bird. There is no unique ideology in bigotry. There's no unique ideology in white supremacy. So misinformation is how we thrive. When I was 10, I was told there's a war against Christianity. There's a war against straight people. There's a war against white men. Heard that before? Yeah, last week on the fucking news. But I heard it when I was fucking 10. Because, if you trace the white race back, when did this white race begin? It began right here in America after Bacon's Rebellion. 1676. What happened was rich people were trying to be rich and poor people were fucking tired of getting shit on. So there was a whole bunch of rebellions. And there was this one really big rebellion called Baker's Rebellion. And the fucking rich white land holding fucking, colonizers decided, hey, we need to fucking stop this shit. So what we're going to do is we're going to convince the white people, yeah, you might be poor, but at least you ain't black. And that's what they did. They created this race of white people that didn't exist before to create this fake majority, to create this mythology of white supremacy so that at least you might be poor, motherfucker. But you ain't black. You're not enslaved. You're not less than human. And so that was enough. And that ideology has survived the test of time. In 2025, it's all still the same. And the entire basis of how we convince white people to be okay with absolute, the most egregious human rights violations in human history is through misinformation. If I tell you that you're the victim, if I tell you the war's against you, if I tell you that people hate you, it's a whole lot fucking easier to be hateful. It's a whole lot fucking easier to dehumanize others. We see that happening right now. We're watching fathers, we're watching brothers, we're watching human beings get shipped to a torture prison in El Salvador, and then you're watching people justify that bullshit. The only way that's possible is through misinformation. White supremacy was built on the foundation of misinformation. White supremacy in it of itself is misinformation.
That's
White
right.
people are
Not
not
supreme. That's right. That's right. It's the white supremacist wannabe. That's what I call it.
Yes, sir. So, well, you said that Trump didn't usher in white supremacy ushered in Trump. Do you think that Trump is necessary in order to actually come to the moment to where we get rid of this thing? Do you think that what he's doing right now, do you think is going to have this effect to where people are going to look and say this is over the top, or do you think that people are going to just continue as business as normal?
I think both are a very real possibility. If you look at after the Civil War, that should have been America's moment. Like, we just literally killed each other. Maybe we should get our shit together, but they didn't. Instead, what happened was the South told the North, "Hey, man, if you take your federal troops out of our states, we'll be good." But they weren't good. Jim Crow laws immediately followed the exit of federal troops from the southern states of America. And then what followed after that was the United Daughters of the Confederacy. United Daughters of the Confederacy came in and resurrected Confederate statues, resurrected the Confederate flag. The United Daughters of the Confederacy are the ones who started the ideology of it was states' rights and not slavery. We never held, this is very important, we never held the leaders of the Confederate States of America accountable under the idea of we should just heal our wounds and welcome our brothers back into our arms, right? They got a free pass on it. Now, I want you to ask yourself, the Confederate States of America was purely a black movement. Would they have got a free pass? Would we have given them the fucking same courtesy we gave the Confederate? No, we wouldn't have. We know the fucking answer. So we never held white America accountable. Woodrow Wilson, I believe it was it was Harry Truman, wasn't it? Harry Truman was the first president that allowed a film to be played in the White House. What was that film? The Birth of America, made by the Ku Klux Klan. In this country, we have never, ever, 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 ever held white supremacy accountable. I can draw you a straight line from the Confederate States of America to Make America Great Again. I can draw you, I don't have to make a left, I don't have to make a right, I don't make a U-turn, I ain't got to do no trickery. It's a straight fucking line. The Make America Great Again movement is the Confederate States of America. It's the fucking reintroduction of the first time. How did we get here? We didn't hold white America accountable. So if Donald Trump disappears fucking tomorrow, he's gone. Are supremacists that put him in the office gone? Are the motherfuckers we gave a free pass to gone? Is the ideology that they used to fucking vote for him gone? No. And if we don't hold white supremacy accountable in this country, then we're just waiting for the fucking next time it happens. We have to defeat Donald Trump. We have to defeat fascism. We have to defeat the misinformation. We also have to hold white supremacy accountable. And that's something America's still not ready to do, I'm afraid.
Do you find yourself, do you feel like you're in danger sometimes? Do you find like there's some people that's so racist, white people that are mad at you? Do you get like death threats or anything?
I've had death threats. I had a guy pull up to my house. I've had people approach me in crowds. Yeah, that's an inherent part of being a race.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am a race traitor, they call me. You're a traitor to your race. Should be your first fucking clue you're in a cult, but they're not. They're too stupid. And so my thoughts on it are this. First of all, my children aren't white. And first of all, I want to be clear. You don't have to have children or family members that are of any race, color, ethnicity, religion, creed to just fucking have basic human compassion. But I do remind myself that I just want my fucking children to live in a better fucking country than what I lived in. Like, goddamn. But I don't think there's a way to stand up against white supremacy and not be in danger. So the best you can do is stand up against white supremacy and fucking keep your head on a swivel. You know what I mean?
That's it.
That is it.
But you were kind of like not the person folks want to roll up on. What you said, 13 years in Iraq, did you say?
I have been to Iraq. I have been to Afghanistan.
Afghanistan.
13 years in the Army, military intelligence. 9 of those 13 years was overseas. And yeah, I try to, take the things I learned from the military, take the things I learned from the intelligence community, and apply them to my everyday life. And the guy who did come to my house, I'm not gonna talk about that because he did go to court and the guy was convicted, and but the fact is, thankfully, I was paying attention and it didn't work out good for him. And so, that's what we have to do. I think that if this wasn't a thing built on hate, then speaking against it wouldn't be so dangerous, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the thing is dangerous. So in order to confront it, it is equally, if not more dangerous. I mean, that's just the reality. We deal with it all the time. I mean, in my life, I've had some real serious close calls, like things where, people showing up to my speaking engagements, folks pulling out weapons. We've even had black people. It was like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, when that black woman showed up in DC at that march that we went to. And I don't even know. And this is not even someone who was supposed to be, even though I think she was certainly planted and paid to do what she did. But nonetheless, if what she says is true, that she was just mad at me because I didn't support her thing or whatever.
That's great.
She was going through a mental health situation, and just my visibility alone put me in the crosshairs. So, I don't believe her. I think she was there on purpose, paid to do the thing. But if that's not the case, and she just got upset because I didn't help her or whatever it is, and decided to approach me, and it turned into a physical thing where people had to get involved. Like, she was enraged. Yeah. And that is because my visibility is there where she picked me as the person, So so I understand every day. But the one thing about it is, as was said to us by one of our dear sisters that we love so much, and I won't name her, so to protect her. But all you gonna do is kill me. That's it. That's you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the worst that could happen, is that you could kill me. I don't want to be dead. I don't want to be killed. I don't want to be harmed. I don't want to be impaired for the rest of my life from a bullet or this or that. But what I know is that what I definitely don't want to live with for the rest of my life is that I did nothing. That part, I can't, because that's a mental death to me. So we out here we got to do what we got to do. And whatever comes with it, God knows. God's got me. And you.
My kids see what's going on. My kids, my oldest son, when he was in middle school, was experiencing a lot of racism. And I called the school, and I said, hey, man, you might want to talk to this kid who's being a racist. I talked to the teacher first. Teacher didn't stop it. I talked to the principal. I told the principal, listen, man, come time number 3, I'm going to tell my son, take care of it himself. And that's actually what happened. And my son, made this individual aware of the consequences of his actions. But then the principal literally fucking told me to my face, we can't respond to words with violence, because that principal was too white and too uneducated to understand that racism is violence. And that he was trying. And that's what motivates me. Like you said, the worst you can do is kill me. Yeah, if that's the worst, okay, because the worst you can actually do to me is harm my children. I'll be damned if I let my children grow up in this world
That's right. That's right.
without me at least putting forth some fucking effort to change that part.
Trying. I gotta try.
I cannot let my children who recognize what's happening in the world, when they finally become adults, look at me and say, Daddy, what'd you do in 2016? Daddy, what'd you do in 2020? What'd you do in 2024? What'd you do when Donald Trump ignored the orders of the Supreme Court? What'd you do when Donald Trump was shipping people off to an El Salvadoran prison without due process? Daddy, what did you do? And I'll be damned if I look my kids in the eye and say nothing.
Well,
damn.
I just want to say, man, we always say that we don't need allies, we need accomplices, man. And you're definitely one of those accomplices, man. And I just appreciate you every day. Like sometimes, like I tell you, I don't feel like I'm fighting enough, I'm doing enough, because you've taken on your own fight. And I know to confront people, you know, your own family members, people you've grown up with, and confront them about something that they've normalized so much, you know, and to really address that and take and be disinvited from the family functions and be kicked out of the house from your father and have the shit beat out of you, you know what I'm saying? To really have to go through those things just to stand on the side of what's right is something different, man. And it's not even a fight that you are plagued by every day, right? Because I say to myself, I'm a black man. I'm plagued by racism, right? It affects me every day. I got to go. Every day I have to deal with that. I've grown up where my third grade teacher used to call me the N-word, and he used to look at me and tell me I wasn't going to do nothing. I'd be dead by the time I was 18, and, you know, and he would just do things to me. And those things I've experienced. So they pushed me to those things. I experienced being incarcerated unfairly and sentenced with no crime, really no crime at anything, and having to spend 17 years when I know that there was a white counterpart that went home with probation, and they said, we don't want to mess up his college career. He's going to college. He has no record, and, you know, no one was hurt. So we're just going to give him some I know those things happen because I've seen it happen. So I was directly impacted by those things. So this fight that I fought was fighting back, right? You chose to fight just because it was the right thing to do. You know, and there's not a lot of people that just fight because it's the right thing to do who haven't been impacted. So I just want to say thank you, and we truly appreciate you, man.
Yeah, truly, truly, truly. You deserve all the honors. And, you know, like I tell people all the time, none of this means we're perfect, because we're not perfect people.
We'll swap you out with
we mess up.
Byron Donalds any day. You can come to the cookout,
exactly. Man. We're not perfect people.
Tim Scott, we give them Byron Donalds, Candace Owens, and Tim Scott, and you can just come on to the cookout, man.
But yeah, I do want to underscore that point that, for those who are listening, I know there's 10 people who say, no, but he did this to me, and I didn't like when he said that, and he did this, that. Yep, all of us, we know. I'm whatever he did to you, he did it. You right. I get it. I understand. But the overall point is that the work and the mission and the authenticity is what's important. Can we all improve? Certainly. Are we working on that? Yes. Should we be called in and have to have conversations? Well, I feel like, you know, you took the credit for my thing. You stepped on my toe. Whatever that is, absolutely, we should definitely reconcile those things. But it is important to be able to lift your work, Jolly, and make sure that you feel supported, because not just your children, but also for you, we all want to die with a better place. And right now, it's going back to worse than it was before we were born. And that's something that, as you said, I just can't sit by and watch happen. So I am very grateful for you becoming one of the TMI show alumni. Yeah, you're an alum. And you could come back anytime you want.
I've been on a lot of podcasts, and when Tamika hit me up last week, hey, you want to be on our podcast? I said, for real? I've been on the reality TV shows. I've been on Discovery Channel. And I was really excited to be on your podcast because, truth be told, I do appreciate the work both of you do. My son, I know your story about, how you were incarcerated, why you were incarcerated. And that shit means something to me. And I hate the thank yous, and I hate when people give me flowers. That's also, you know, that's my therapist tell me that's a result of being an abused child and not taking compliments well. But truth is, I think to myself, like you just said, I could walk away tomorrow and just, you know, assimilate into my white supremacy and be okay. And so that's like a motivating factor to me, that the fact is we talk about these things, we say these things happen, but they're not just fucking words and stories. They really, really happen. And when we're watching what's happening right now, I think the most fascinating part for me is we've talked about this before. I've had these conversations in private. I've had these conversations in public. If we do XYZ, then ABC is going to happen. We did XYZ, and ABC sure as fuck's happening right now. And so seeing it happen, seeing Donald Trump just absolutely dismantle the Constitution, seeing America become 1930s Germany, it is overwhelming to the senses to see it happening. And I think a lot of people are dealing with it in different ways, but my message to everybody is it is happening.
Yeah.
This is not just fucking hyperbole. This is not just a story. This is not just political theater.
Fear mongering and emotional.
Right. This is real life happening, and every single moment in American history where human rights were literally in the fire, the defining factor between good and evil was the people. And so your grandchildren are going to ask you one day, what did you do right now in this moment? And my only question to you is, what the fuck's going to be your answer?
Amen.
Thank you, Jolly. We appreciate you. Russell Ellis, thank you for joining the TMI show today. And keep doing your work, brother. We support you. We are here to be partners and to figure out ways to fight back. You know, I think we need one another right now more than ever. And we are certainly very appreciative of your work, and we'll continue to support you as we hope that you do the same for us.
That's right.
I support everything y'all doing. I thank you so much for having me. I respect both of you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
They said the only thing that's necessary for evil to prosper is for good men to do nothing, man. So
Edmund Burke said that, and I stand by it. It's so true. This is our man.
Thank you.
Shout out to our brother Russell Ellis, a.k.a. Jolly Good Ginger. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's an energy that he has, man. Like he has this revolutionary Santa Claus look about him. Yeah. Right? He looks like the cool white guy with the beard, but he has this fire in him, and it's about justice. So I love him. I appreciate him. You know, people are like, are you racist? Everything is, no, I'm not racist. I'm just anti-white supremacy. It ain't white people, it's white supremacy. And when you on the side of what's right, I'm with you. If you speaking against negativity, you speaking against fascism, if you speaking against racism, if you speaking against all the isms, and you speaking on the side of what's right, then I'm with you. Don't try to put that on me because you mad that I'm not gonna let you do racist shit or say racist shit or be comfortable in racism. And we even got our own people that say, "Oh, you're racist because you talk." No, I'm not racist. I am a person of conscience, right? When a person of good conscience understands what racism does, and he's able to identify racism and speak against racism.
I know that's right.
All the time. So, you know, Mr. Jolly Good Ginger is one of our accomplices, as we like to say. No more allies, man. So I appreciate him.
Yeah, I love him. He's good people. He's good people, and I've never heard anybody say anything bad about him. But I bet you if I did some research, I could fight. I'm not talking about dumb folk, the opposition. I'm talking about our folk. I know
that somebody
for a fact.
Can't wait to tell you he ain't shit.
As soon as they see him on the thing here, they gonna say,
that's just our page.
I can't believe you would have him. Don't you know that in 1973 he said this? And don't you know that he did this and he stole my credit and he was named at the so and so and I was the one who did the thing and said, I already know. But yeah, I'm with him because I know what he's doing is very dangerous. Like seriously, it's very dangerous.
That's why I asked the question. Like I know do you get death threats or you fear for your life because them white people mad at us and we black. And they mad at us because we black and we speaking against stuff.
No, they lynch white folks. They have done that for,
I know, but I'm just trying to say, I know how mad they are to see black people speak against white supremacy. So when they feel like they got a traitor,
they have killed a many. And they have killed a many.
Listen,
and they have killed a many.
It's a person he's a traitor of white supremacy. He's denounced white supremacy, and he's going to stand on the good side.
Yeah.
And speaking of the good side, that brings me to my I don't get it for today. Now, there has been a video surface. Well, let me backtrack. If you have not heard about what is happening with the young man Carmelo Anthony, who has been charged with actual murder, the circumstances surrounding his death, allegedly he was at a game in the seat, and these two white men.
You might need to say that again. You said the circumstances around his death.
Okay. Got you.
Thank you for catching it. Go, Janice.
Got you. So there has been. Wait. So if you haven't been up to speed, there's a young man by the name of Carmelo Anthony, a black young man. I think he's about 17 years of age. He's been accused of murder of Austin Metcalf. Now, the circumstances surrounding his death was there was a sports game that they were at. He was sitting in the seat, which was actually his seat.
Who is he? Carmelo.
Carmelo was sitting in the seat, which was actually his seat. And two white guys walk up to him, threatening him, and he defended himself. Allegedly, this is what from witnesses saying that he was sitting there, and he told them, "Don't put their hands on him."
Yeah, I think I saw Ben Crump wrote about this too, and because Ben was asked to look at it and to make give an objective opinion, and Ben, he don't play if it ain't right.
And there's other videos surfacing where you've seen another situation where a white man was doing something to him, being aggressive to him, where he was just interviewing. It's just a multiple.
Wait, he was interviewing who?
He was sitting there interviewing a white guy, and somebody was very disrespectful to him and his cameraman. Disrespecting
Who is
him.
he? I'm
Carmelo Anthony.
Okay, so Carmelo Anthony was interviewing.
He was interviewing a white guy.
Okay.
In another scenario, and it wasn't even at the game. He was just on campus interviewing a white guy, and the guy came over disrespecting him and his cameraman, and you can see he was polite. He was like, "Hey, what's going on here? Like, why would he talk to my camera?" And they left without incident.
So then at the school.
So now at this game,
right,
that they were at, witnesses say that he was sitting in his seat. They told him to get up. He said, "No, this is my seat." They threatened him. He told them, "Don't put your hands on me." And allegedly, based on witnesses' testimony, they jumped him. And
they being Austin Metcalf,
Austin Metcalf, and another
Metcalf and another guy. Okay,
so
all still around the same age, right? Yeah, because that's right. That's right.
They're at the game.
That's right. I really am asking these questions because I've seen it everywhere, and I saw you talking about it, and I read a statement from Ben that I thought was really powerful, but I really did not know all the details because of so many other things we've been dealing with. So I'm really trying to understand.
So this is what happened, and then. Allegedly, he had a knife or with a pocket knife. And in his defense, he decided he used the knife, and Austin Metcalf was pronounced dead at the scene. So, and there's been a lot of just different outlooks. I for one believe that the man deserves his day in court. And if what they say happened allegedly, that these people jumped him and he was defending himself, then that will come out in court as well, and a lot of people have raised money for him to make sure that he has a legal defense team that can accurately defend him, just like we have Kyle Rittenhouse or whatever his name.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Whatever, I don't even care what his name.
Yeah,
and they constantly make sure that the white guys who commit murder against black people have the adequate, defense teams and money for it. So. People were angry about him being able to raise money. So, I've been very vocal about that. But I seen this video today that was quite enlightening. Now, there is a group called Protect White Americans, and is an anti-white violence coalition. And the one of the guys who was there, his name is Jack Lang. He was speaking. He was being interviewed, and the father of Austin Metcalf was on the phone, and Jack was telling him, "Hey, we're very strong. If you came down to sit down here with us as we advocate for your son, it would be very strong." And now listen, Austin Metcalf's father wants justice for his son.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Jeff Metcalf.
Mm-hmm.
He wants justice for his son. His son was killed, and as any father would, he wants to see whoever did it held accountable. That's a real thing. But what he said was so powerful. He realized that this Jack Lang guy in the Protect White Americans organization, the anti-white violence, organization was trying to use his son's likeness and situation to promote racial division, right? Because most people are not saying that this situation was racially motivated. They were saying it's a self-defense situation. But
well, it depends on which way, when the racism began.
Exactly.
Because it's possible that two white guys going to Carmelo Anthony and telling him to get out of his seat, that may have been racially motivated.
It may have been, but that hasn't been the theme of it.
Okay.
Right? The theme of this situation was
self-defense.
Two people approached one person, he defended himself.
Okay.
And he happened to be white. I mean, the person who lost their life happened to be white, and the young man happened to be black. And black people were saying this man had a right to defend himself against two people. And the man's father and everybody else, most people are saying that he had the right to live. So that should.
So they got to go to court.
They need to play. So what these people are trying to do now is make it seem like there was violence against a white person. That it was geared because he was white. That's why he lost his life.
And the fact that the black guy is able to raise money means they trying to I saw something about this. They're trying to pretty much equate it with Dylan Roof and Kyle Rittenhouse, like, oh, y'all was mad about that, so now why you not mad at a black boy has raised X amount of dollars in his defense against a white man, a white young man, right? But the thing about it is, and also it's important to say, because this is what I read, that the money that was raised went through a channel that stopped it before it distributes, because they're now doing legal stuff to find out how is the money being used. So actually, Carmelo Anthony has not benefited from the money that was raised. So they just it was out there the other day, like, let's just stop with the misinformation and the jumping to conclusions. We don't know yet about that money. Go ahead.
Exactly. And this Jack Lang guy was actually trying to utilize Austin Metcalf as a poster boy for this anti-white violence. And the father said, I don't want my son's face, likeness, or anything associated with you guys, because what you're trying to do is cause racial division, and that's not what this is about. I don't respect what you do, and I don't want anything to do with what you do.
And take my son's
face and everything off. And Jack Lang said, this is weakness, sir. This is white guilt. You're showing weakness. And there happened to be a black guy tap dancing in the background. Black guy speaking, it is showing weakness. What are you even talking about? Like, it was so, like, what are you even talking about, black guy, sir?
What?
Sir?
What?
He said, because he was Jack Lang told.
He was on the phone with the dad.
Yeah, he told Jeff.
And they were out in public.
They were out in public.
Okay.
And he's listening. He got the camera. They got the phone. And there's a guy letting him listen to what Jeff is saying. And Jack Lang looks at him and said, looks at the phone and said, "Sounds like white guilt, sir. It's white guilt. It's showing weakness. You should be standing with us." And he's like, "No, I don't want to stand with some shit that I know is
bigotry.
And then you're trying to use my son to promote your racist bullshit, and we not with that." And then there's a black guy in the back. He leans over. Black guy here, black guy here. It is showing weakness. And I'm just like, bro, what you even got to do? Let them people handle their own situation. This ain't got nothing to do with you. How you know?
I need his name.
I need.
Because I
please
want to
listen
put
me.
him
Please.
on.
Somebody show me.
say who
Look,
he is.
Get his name because we need to talk to him. I need to have a conversation because I need to understand what is he even talking about. But what I just don't get is why are people trying to utilize this situation for racial division, right? Why are you mad at a father who doesn't want to his son's face to be utilized in something that he doesn't stand for, right? So
you gonna force the man.
You gonna force the man to be with the racism because you with the racism. You want him to be with the anti-white violence, which is not really a thing because, it's not really a thing. It's not something that's overwhelmingly impacting our communities. So why would you want to utilize this boy in this situation and be mad at him and call him weak? Like the crazy shit is that you gonna call that man weak? Well, that man lost his son. You got the gall. You got the gall to sit there and tell that man he's weak because he don't want to be involved with your situation. Like these people need some help, man. I don't know. Look. White privilege and white supremacy go hand in hand because black people would never, we wouldn't give a fuck what was going on. White people, black person said, I don't want my son to do this. Black people going to say,
oh, there's no way.
We're going to get out the way.
We've had situations where
we think
a family, you think it's supposed to be a fight. We getting out there. We about to show up. And
I don't want my son. And you like,
I don't want to be associated with that. We don't believe in that. That stuff is, I could think of a family that was like that in a major case. Yeah. And the reason, and people they'll see me in the street or online, they'll be like, why didn't we do anything about such? What happened with such and such? And of course, well, I don't say that because the integrity of the family is also important. So you don't want to be like, well, they didn't want anybody to stand up for them. You just say, you know what? It just, there are other people that are handling it. I'm not really involved in that situation anymore, but I certainly pray for or hope that whatever, and just kind of let it go. Meanwhile, you got black folks that's in the background who's supposed to be the family members of tomorrow. I don't associate with that. I don't think that all police are bad. I stand with the cops and I want peace. And and it's just like, got you.
Come on.
Got you. You got it. I never said all police was bad. Where you get that from? But as soon as they say that, I don't believe that all police are bad, and I don't want already the mindset that's coming behind that.
And it's like, once you say that, we can't galvanize the people to speak against this individual because you've already nullified the fight.
Right. So and then people like that. And we back up.
And there's nothing wrong. And I'm not mad at you because that's your ideology. That's your theory.
Or your child.
And also your child or your family member, whoever it is. And if you're in charge and you don't want the fight for your child to happen in that manner, then people have to respect it. But not this white man. He called the man weak.
And he told me
dealing with white guilt, and the black man
he said, "This week, sir, you're giving in, sir. You're gonna create more Austin people, right?
It's gonna be more Austin Metcalfs because of you. Yeah. It's like, come on, man. It's like we just got to do better. And black people gotta mind their business, man. Where would you come from? Why did that man say that?
That is their business.
Black person here.
That's funny.
It is weakness. And he leaned back up, and you just looked at his face and said, he got his good old tap dancer shoes.
I have to see him.
Oh, man. Somebody got to give me his name, please. If y'all find his name, please put it under here because I need to know who he is. We need to bring him to the round table, man.
There's that.
There's that. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of TMI. Make sure that you tune in. This is the #1 podcast in the world. We're the best host in the world. It's hard being this great. It is really hard being this great. I have to shout out to my team, Janice, who is doing an amazing job, Armando, and Toya, Tisha, everybody who is contributing to this podcast. Like, it is entering stages of greatness that I don't think I've ever anticipated.
Please,
so continue to support us. Send us topics you want us to talk about. Let us know who you want us to interview. Tell us you love us. Tell us you hate us, but just tell us something. Make sure you follow us on YouTube at TMI Show PC and on Instagram at TMI_show. We love you. I'm not gonna always be right. Tamika D. Mallory's not gonna always be wrong, but we will both always, and I mean always, be authentic.
Peace.
Salute.